Today on All Things 80s, Matchbox cars. Welcome back to All Things 80s. Now this video is something I am really looking forward to. Now growing up in the 80s, Matchbox cars played a huge part in the early 80s for me. Now these little toys were available everywhere. I remember them being in the local supermarket, the local newsagents. They were very cheap, which made them the perfect pocket money toy. And, you know, as most boys, we just loved cars. And from what I understand, Matchbox were quite clever in as far as they only ever had 75 models available at one time, which meant the store display stands had 75 slots. So whenever they introduced a new model, they would take one out of circulation. So there were only 75 available at any given time. So I've picked up 3 of these, which I am really excited to open. All 3 of these I did have as a child. I do remember them fondly. And we're just going to go ahead. I'm going to give you a close-up of the unboxing and just talk you through the memories these things bring back. I managed to get hold of a nice selection of Matchbox cars. Now the first one is the Vauxhall Guildsman, which I fondly remember. I remember it being a really garish colour, but it was a pretty cool car in that it looked like real sporty for the time, and it was pretty fast. Next up is the Porsche Turbo, which is one that I really wanted so badly. I remember being in, I think it was primary 3, and one of my classmates brought one of these in, and I knew I had to have that car, and eventually I did get it, which was just made me so happy. And the last one is a personnel carrier. Now I do remember having a number of sort of military-based Matchbox cars, various tanks and things, and I think they had a range. They called it the Rolomatics. I might be wrong, but I think it was Rolomatics, where there were mechanisms inside that whenever the wheels turned, it caused, in the case of the tanks, it caused the sort of gun turret to rotate. They had other features. I think they had sports cars with, fans on the engines that would turn and everything, but none of these, to the best of my knowledge, have that feature. So first up, I'm going to go ahead and we'll look at this Vauxhall Guildsman. So it's just so nice to hold one of these again. And I also think that it would have been the very early 80s they stopped producing the cars in the actual Matchbox and began to use, blister packaging, which is, it still exists to this day. But back then it was just a nice treat to get a new car in one of these boxes. Of course, the boxes would be opened and discarded immediately. But just holding this here just brings back great memories. And actually the date on this one is 1970. My eyesight's getting really bad, but yeah, I think that says 1970. So if I'm doing my calculations correctly, in 1980 I would have been 6 years old. So it's entirely possible I got this in the 70s, but it is one I remember. So I'm going to get this thing opened and just take a look at it. So anyway, I want to do this very carefully because these are very old boxes, and I don't want to destroy them. So this just says here 40 Mark III. Specification and color of contents subject to amendment. Okay. Now, I should point out as well that something that I remember as a child were that there were very few photographs used on the packaging of toys. It was always artwork. And this one depicts the car in yellow, but I do know that the car itself is not yellow. It is in fact this garish pink colour, complete with the fireball detailing. This is wonderful. This really is. And I remember as a kid I used to study all the writing on the bottom. You know, Vauxhall Guildsman, made in England, 1971. And this one is a super fast. So I guess the wheels, yeah, these are wonderful. Yeah, these actually genuinely were super fast. But you can see here the car itself, it looks really sort of futuristic. And especially thinking back to the 80s, the cars you saw on the road did not look like these. They were basically boxes on wheels. So having something like this in your collection was like really, really fancy, and it was almost like a glimpse of the future. It does say Vauxhall Guildsman. I can honestly say I do not recall ever seeing these on the road. I don't know if, I mean, given the fact it does say on the base plate 1971, if this was a 70s car actually on the roads, and by the time by the time my memory kicks in, they were no longer in production. I don't know, but like I said, I don't remember this on the roads, but I do remember the toy, and just it's just wonderful, wonderful. Okay, next up we'll do the personnel carrier. Again, it's just nice to see this, and it does say in here, collect all 75 models. Like I said, they only ever had 75 in circulation at any one time. And this one, it does have a gun that turns, but you have to turn it manually. I think I remember that. So once again, being careful. Okay, this one came up open quite easily. And we have, yeah, so there's, yeah, I remember that. So there's the see, this one doesn't roll at all as well as the first one did, but you know, it's got some nice detailing on the sides here. It's given like a pickaxe, a shovel on that side, same on this side, and of course we have the molded troops, which I remember this posing a bit of a problem, because in terms of toy soldiers I used to have, there were two sizes. One was, I'm guessing, maybe 1.5 inches tall, and then they had this much, much smaller ones, which were still bigger than these ones. So you couldn't really, so these weren't to scale with the other toys. So when you were doing, you know, playing with them, it just always seemed a bit odd that the guys in this truck were tiny compared to the rest of the soldiers. But it's a very well made toy. It's, you know, solid metal. This one on the bottom does say 1978. So chances are I would have been 5 or 6 by the time I got this. But yeah, this is a great one. See, this does not roll as well as the first one. But anyway, on to the one that I really, really wanted so badly, which is the Porsche Turbo. And this one is dated, let me see, again 1978. Ah, okay, I'm seeing a pattern here. You can see here, this one is also 78, and the emblem for the 75 is the same on this one, whereas this one makes no mention of that, so I'm not quite sure what the difference is. Also as well, the Matchbox logo is different on this one. So this was like early 70s, this was 78, but anyway, going to get this thing opened, and there we have it, the green Porsche Turbo that I wanted so badly. And this one does not roll as well as this one, so I guess this, yeah, the super fast, much better bearings on this. But anyway, this was the car that I saw a classmate of mine bring into school one day. I thought, wow, that's the coolest car I ever saw. And if I remember rightly, It has, yep, doors that open. And actually the detailing is fantastic. You know, it's all obviously molded in plastic, but there's a gear lever, the steering wheel, the seats, nice sports seats. And let's see. Ah, this is interesting. It has a trailer hitch on the back, which I don't believe is accurate to the original Porsche. You can't really imagine anyone towing a caravan with a Porsche, but I guess they had other, well, I'm not guessing, I know they had other Matchbox toys, trailers with, you know, speedboats and whatnot. So that, I guess it was to allow you to play with your other Matchbox toys, you could connect these. But yeah, this one is fantastic. It really is. Fantastic attention to detail. It really does resemble the Porsche. I guess it was like that, the 911 Turbo. Just checking here again. I really can't read that. No, 78. Yep, made in England. Wow, fantastic. I'm glad I got these. Great, great memories of Matchbox. And I think the other company was Dinky. They also did these. And I think in America, obviously Hot Wheels were the main brand. But like I said, Matchbox was just, played a big, big part in my childhood. And it's just really nice to see these, to hold these. This one has the hitch, trailer hitch as well. You couldn't really imagine a family going on holiday towing a caravan from this. This thing is just crazy. It's kind of, I'm trying to remember if the Ferrari did a weird model in the 70s that resembles this. I'm not sure. I'm not really a car expert. But anyway, fantastic. So that was the unboxing of these vintage Matchbox cars. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed doing it. Fantastic memories. And it's just nice to have these in the collection again. As much as I would love to go back and collect all the ones I had as a child, financially that's not possible. And also as well, these are in pristine condition. The ones I had, they were played with. And that was the point of these things. They were, you know, again, I've used the phrase before, but these were kitchen floor toys. They were no good on carpets, but my God, could they fly on the kitchen floor. Like I said, this one has the best wheels. This was a super fast. I'll need to do a bit more research actually to see and to get a better understanding of why some had better wheels than others. But anyway, hope you liked it. I sure did. Please like, please subscribe, and see you in the next video.